There is just a little over a week to go before results of elections in 5 states will be declared. Starting today, we will be focusing on one key issue in the elections each day. Today, we kick off with the issue of agricultural distress. Now, if there is one common thread in the elections in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Telangana, it is the question of agricultural distress. The 3 Hindi heart-belt states, in fact, have an overwhelming majority of the population engaged in agriculture, and it is little surprise that angry farmers are being wooed by all the major political parties in each state. So to what extent will this farmer distress impact the results of the 5 state polls? To talk about this, I'm joined now by former Agricultural Secretary Siraj Hussain. Avik Saha, spokesperson of Swaraj India, is joining us today as well. And we're also talking with Aditi Fadnis, who's of course political editor at the Business Standard. Welcome to all of you and thank you for talking with us at Bloomberg Quint. I'm going to start with Mr. Hussain and by asking you to give us a broad picture. We have seen in survey after survey where farm distress has been talked about as a major issue. We know that there have been protests in these states. Manifestos have talked about what they will do for farmers. Will we see this impacting the results?
Frankly speaking, I am not in a position to answer that question because I am not a political person. However, I can only say that food inflation has been in the negative zone. I have written an article in Business Today, which I would urge your viewers to read, in which I have made a graph showing how the prices of many agricultural commodities have shown negative inflation. So whether the farmers who are actually the sellers of agricultural produce, who toil very hard to produce the food items which we eat, they have not realized fair prices. How they will vote, whether voting behavior will be affected by this, I really do not know. I am not the right person to answer that question.
All right, I'll circle back to you on that. But, you know, I thought it was important to talk about one of the... Well, there is no question that they are electoral issues and they're big electoral issues at this point. And Aditi, I want you to come in here with the kind of promises the Congress is talking about. In some of the states, they are promising pensions for farmers, monthly pensions in some cases. You know, now a state like Telangana already has some form of an assured return scheme in the Raitu Bandhu. Do you think that these are things that farmers will go for?
Well, if you're asking me whether the farmers will be seduced into voting for the Congress, well, this is one of the things that will work. Although, as the others are saying, I don't think this is a structural solution to the problems. These are all just things which are kind of, sticking plaster kind of thing, which is really not the answer in the ultimate event.
Well, we don't know if these will work or these will not work. The question right now, the immediate question, because there are elections coming up, is that will farmers then, now evolve into a very powerful voters bloc? And in a democracy, they will have to have their voices heard. Let's come to some of the options which have been given. And let me come to Siraj Hussain with it. I talked about the pension schemes that the Congress talks about in some of its manifesto. Some states, like the state of Madhya Pradesh, has the Bhavantar scheme, where they try and make up the gap between MSPs and market prices. Has there been any workable formula that you have seen in any of the promises made?
Actually, the Bhavantar scheme, which was tried by Madhya Pradesh last year, did not really succeed. We wrote a very long paper evaluating that scheme, and I have written several articles, one on Bloomberg Quint also. Now, this year, therefore, the government of Madhya Pradesh itself did not take up Bhavantar scheme because operationally it is so difficult to implement. In fact, I must compliment Mr. Saha and Mr. Yogendra Yadav for keeping the issues of agriculture alive. Otherwise, the political parties can easily sway the public opinion by communalizing or indulging in caste politics, etc. So, because of their hard effort, going from Mandi to Mandi and tweeting every day about the prices being received by the farmers, this issue has become center stage. Now, if I have been in the government, I have first-hand experience of what is implementable and what is not implementable. That is why I keep saying and writing that MSP, even if the government was to raise the MSP to Swaminathan formula, there is no way the government can actually deliver it. The only way to deliver to the farmers a fair price, if I may say so, is through income support, which is crop neutral, which is available to farmers irrespective of which crop they are going, and therefore the farmers will be incentivized to save water, to use less urea, to adopt better practices. Telangana has tried Raitu Bandhu scheme, and I think it's a very good scheme, even though there is no cap, and therefore we feel that there should be a maximum cap so that the government money does not flow to very large farmers. But of all the schemes which I have implemented in my career of 37 years, I can say that direct income support is the most viable option.
Mr. Saha, your view on that, a direct income support at the end of the day to buffer, climate change and any kind of other attacks that, happen on agricultural land, and to basically give the farmers some support, which would be more sustainable than these recurring farm loan waivers.
Mr. Hussain is right. You see, when we have a crop, then we can talk about getting or not getting MSP. With recurring climatic variations, we are more often than not facing these crop failures. So direct income support is one of the ways to ensure that in adverse situations, farmers are not left in the lurch and don't reach near starvation stages as happened in 2014-15. when the 2 consecutive droughts took place and the government was completely negligent. But the point is, rather than a direct income support, we have been proposing, beyond the MSP and the loan waiver, an income guarantee scheme. Because we have to start thinking as a nation that farmers are not a burden on us, and they are not people who need charity and our kind wishes. They are an important economic sector, or again, I'm stressing the word economic, because the economic activity of agriculture, if taken holistically and treated holistically, may actually lead to Indian economy growing rather than moving back, as has been put forward by many economists. So direct income guarantee scheme, and in cases of calamities, in cases of crop failures, yes, income support, which was there. I mean, it was very badly managed, but it was there.
I mean, you have an insurance scheme. You have an insurance scheme today, which is prevalent.
No, it's an insurance of the bank's loan portfolio. When banks give out loans, that insurance ensures that if the borrower, the farmer, cannot pay back because of calamity, their loan will be secured. And the insurance companies, anyway, insurance is a business of luck and chance, are laughing all the way to the bank. So insurance will not work in the diverse atmosphere that exists in Indian agriculture.
Okay. Aditi, let me come to you with the final point of how key rural distress will be as a factor, not only in the election in these 5 states, but even leading up to 2019 on a larger national picture. For the states which are going to polls now, where huge amounts of promises are being made. In fact, in the state of Rajasthan, the BJP is promising to take farmers to Israel so that they can see new agricultural methods and techniques and adopt those. So all kinds of promises are being made. Do the governments that come into power in these states, and whichever parties they may be, run the risk of disappointing farmers in the months leading up to 2019, and that could backfire very badly?
Of course, and but as I said before, farmers don't always vote as farmers. They have multiple identities, and we really don't know how many farmers vote as farmers, how many vote on the basis of caste, how many vote on the basis of gender, how many vote on the basis of income, and so on and so forth. If I could just go back a little bit to the agricultural insurance scheme, In the Karnataka election, I toured intensively in North Karnataka, and I found that the insurance scheme had not worked at all, because the farmers had paid up to, in Hubli particularly, which is the granary of Karnataka, they had paid up to 28 crore in one area as premium, and the return that they got in that area was only 13 crore. So, I mean, the perils of agricultural insurance are clear. It actually hasn't functioned anywhere in the world, because insurance works on the basis of a large number of premium payers and a small number of claimants. Here, every premium payer is also a claimant. So it can't work. So I think some refinement is needed. The state government was totally in the wrong in not correcting agricultural data, which was then passed on to the insurance companies, and people got 2 rupees and 3 rupees as compensation, which is ridiculous. So that is one part of it. And that kind of disappointment, multiplied many times over, will lead to a major upset in the 2019 elections if things are not addressed right now.
You know, Mr. Hussain, I started with a political question with you, which you sidestepped understandably so, but I'm going to end with one as well. Do you think it's about time then that farmers do start voting as a bloc? Because clearly just the protests are not working. The farmer suicide rates have been piling up. There are piecemeal responses and nobody seems to be listening.
Actually, the farmers, at least in North Indian state, Western UP, Haryana, etc., did vote as a bloc with Lok Dal, with Mr. Charan Singh, who was a very well-known farm leader, and then with Mr. Devilal. But you see, in the last elections, we saw that in Western UP, there was a lot of communal politics, starting from Muzaffarnagar riots, as a result of which the communal agenda overtook the agricultural agenda. So we do not know what will happen. Today there is some news of violence from Bulandshahr. What impact it will have in 2019, I do not know. But as I said, to the credit of farm leaders, they have kept the farmers' issues alive, and I hope that people will see that ultimately it is the economic issues which matter rather than the sentimental issues of religion and caste.
All right, so farmers need to start thinking of themselves as farmers first, perhaps rather than which caste or religion they belong to. Then they would force political parties to sit up and hear them. Thank you so much, Aditi Phadnis, Avik Saha, and of course Raj Hussain, for speaking with us today.